You know, the thing that makes round number 8 of the Dodge Viper Cup so unique is the fact that it's being held on the Sunday in the midst of the Dodge Viper Owners Invitational number 11, so that we know that everybody here at Miller Motosports Park is a Dodge Viper fan. Now, what racer could hope for it any better than that? This is Dodge Viper Cup.
It is a huge weekend for everybody that loves Vipers. However, we do have the threat of some weather here at Miller Motorsports Park just outside of Tooele, Utah in the Great Salt Desert. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer. Tom Natchu giving you that great open. And here's a look at the starting lineup for the 8th round of the championship. Ryan Schimsk on pole once again. A great qualifying effort by Ben Keating, Ralph Gilles, and Keith Verges up there in that second row. Then Charlie Putman and Mike Von Quillick sitting there in that third row. Taking a look at row 4, Jim Stout and Ted Hughes back once again. Great to have him with us. Then guest driver Rob Pechione and Kurt Solberger. Going to row number 6, Eric Gilles and Connie Bogan. And this is the first time for Connie that she had qualified outside of the top 10 this season. And then Dave Mazik fills out the field. We are ready to go racing, Tom, and on board with Kurt Solberg.
Well, you take a look at out of Kurt's camera here, and you can see Rob Pechione just creeping a little bit. Just before the start of this race, we call it clutch creep. Maybe he doesn't have his seat pulled all the way up, but he's definitely coming in for that. And right off the bat, Keating and Schimsk side by side.
And Keating again trying to make that outside line work in turn 1, realizes it's just not quite there, tucks back in, and settles into a second spot. Meanwhile, Verges running wide through the exit of turn 1, but gathers it up.
Well, turn 1's so difficult on this shortened track on the East Course. When you say trying it again, you mean from round number 7. You know, Ben Keating tried to make that outside line work about 4 different times. Physics dictates that it's never going to work, but good for Ben for trying.
Hey, persistence is a big thing in racing, to be sure. Good look right there at that beautiful number 99, Charlie Putman, as he's in the midst right now of trying to fend off the ever-aggressive Verges as they are battling furiously at this stage of the game. Meanwhile, up front, Schimsk hanging on, but we hop on board with Verges. That is a great shot. And as he's trying, look at that beautiful move. Oh, did he swing to the inside of Putman and set that up beautifully?
Now, Verges knew what he was going to do all along, and as Charlie Putman tried to block him, pulled the old surprise move on him. There's Ben Keating ripping it up one more time. Love this driver.
I'll tell you, when you think about 11/10ths, play the video of Ben Keating driving, because that's where he lives.
You know, one of our producers recently said that Ben Keating drives like a man with passion. He has no idea. The man is in there. I can imagine he's yelling and shouting in there, having a great time. And look at the shot of that ViperExchange.com car.
He's giving it everything he can, trying to get by Schimsk, leading right now and looking back at Keating. And Keating under some immense pressure from Gilles. And again, Keating pushing the envelope. That is released, trying to get that run onto this front straight, use the banking, a big wiggle again up on the curbing. He's giving it everything, but Schimsk, a little bit smoother style right now, that's what's working.
Ralph Gilles took a look at that and said, you know what, I don't want any part of that for now. I want Ben to get settled in there, but Ben Keating right on the 6 of the number 67 car, Ryan Schimsk.
And Schimsk feeling it, you can see right there, just running a little wide, definitely feeling the pressure of Keating, and that's what this is all about. These cars identical, the performance staggering, and as a result, you get wonderfully close racing up front at Schimsk, Keating, Gilles, Verges, and Putman, your top 5.
With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keene, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs.
Back in Miller Motorsports Park, take a look at the cloud cover. All of the fans here and all of the Viper owners that are here right now have eyes cast in different directions. One on the racetrack and the great battling going on, the other one at those clouds. And of course, we keep an eye on some of the competitors as well. There is Rob Paccione, again, had that little bit of a jump, and that is the reason he is being brought into pit lane, I believe. This is a stop and go, is it not, Tom?
Yeah, you bet. Rob Paccione is going to take that stop and go as we go back to the leaders. And as you can see, while we've been away, Ben Keating has not let Ryan Schimsk get away. Meanwhile, Ralph Gilles is right there.
And Verges has closed up on the back of Gilles a little bit now in that fourth spot. Then a little bit of a break back to that fifth place machine. So the top four right now having an absolutely great battle. And as always, Keating looking for any opportunity he can. And he's willing to place that car just about anywhere to try and get into Schim's mirrors, maybe into Schim's mind.
You know, you've got to believe that the architects of this Dodge Viper Cup imagined exactly what we're seeing here when they put this series together, because it doesn't get much better than this in any form of professional racing.
Boy, take a look at those clouds. That's what's called Verges. It's rain that evaporates really before it hits the ground. Speaking of hitting the ground, Keating running way wide, completely up and over the curbs right there. Gilles comes alongside. Keating trying to get that car down, and he goes way wide. Verges off as well, both of them off, throwing up a huge cloud of great salt desert into the air, and it looks like Keating is damaged. Something may have happened when he ran wide over that curb. Keating might be in trouble.
Verges went for a ride there he wasn't expecting, but a good heads-up move by Keith Verges to stay clear of what could have been a big moment.
Yeah, it got him way out into the gravel out there, but he avoided it, lost some track time to be sure, but kept the car in one piece, although those tires no doubt dirtied up. As we have a good look here at Charlie Putman putting in another great drive, driving Jeff Courtney's Viper and doing a great job of it, and of course taking advantage of those opportunities. The cars in front having their issues, and Putman pretty savvy. Meanwhile, Keating is in trouble. There you can see the left front wheel broken on that car. Now, he's one of the owner drivers in this series, but the guest drivers here have a very special program, and for the team that provides it, it's pretty special too.
You know, this Viper Cup deal has been pretty special to me. When the whole inception of the Viper Cup series started, I got a call from Gary Johnson and said, hey, what do you think about this idea about taking a couple cars, we can expose them, new people to this series, taking some celebrities / media folks, and let's just kind of rock and roll with this series. And so what we've done from our team standpoint, we've taken our World Challenge program, and we've taken these cars around the country, invited celebrity guest drivers to come out and experience the series. The interesting part, though, 90% of these drivers have never even been in a Viper since day one. So my job is to basically teach them about the car, teach them about the racetrack, and then bless them and let them go. It's been very challenging to try to get them comfortable in the car, just not overdrive the car, but also respect the other competitors that have bought the cars, that are out there for points and the whole thing. And it's been fun, but the thing about it is now is that a lot of these celebrity drivers now want to come back and run next year on a full-time basis.
And I'll tell you, when it comes to Miller Motorsports Park, you've listened to Cindy Luck. She had her best finish in World Challenge competition in the ultra-competitive GT category right here in Miller a couple of years ago. She knows this track. She knows these cars. And Fred Lux, her husband, in terms of prepping these machines, is absolutely superb as well. And that's why these guest drivers get on board and have success like you see with Gilles here and like you see with Paccione. They've got great kit and they've got great coaching.
Absolutely, and Cindy Lux makes a difference in anybody's driving career when she gets her hands on them here at Miller Motorsports Park. We've had some great guest drivers. We've had Richie Hearn. We've got one of those downhill crazy guys in the bobsledders from the U.S. military, and a host of good guys. And they all have good cars, as you say, and it's been a lot of fun to have them. Let's go back to Keith Verges for a minute. You know, if you consider all the stuff that's gone down with Keith Verges over the course of the season, he's running third in the championship, but it's easy to imagine him in second or even leading this thing. He just seems to get his nose in where all the bad stuff happens.
Yeah, he gets trapped in weird spots, but some of that is because a few times this year, even though he's been fast, he started at the back of the pack, and that's when you get into trouble because you're coming up through the other cars in the field, and when there's a little issue or a couple are racing hard and have a moment, you get caught up in it. But when he gets to the front, he is exceptionally quick, as he's showing once again here.
Now giving pro Charles Putman a run for the money, as those cars are as close as they need to be considered in contact. Meanwhile, let's take a look at Michael Von Quillick here.
Oh!
And Michael goes, that's the turn number 1. You know, more dust gets dragged up there as the race goes. But Mike's got a very creative line on the way out of here. Look, why are you driving on the shoulder there, Mike?
Yeah, just stay on the gravel for a while, and maybe it's more fun to get the car all kinds of sideways. Now the question is, he's back on the track, but Tom, those Michelins are the sticky when he went off are going to be dirtied up pretty good. He's going to have to be a little cautious.
Yeah, by the time he gets to the attitudes, he'll have it all cleared up there. But that was just a typical Utah moment. Schimsk, Gilles, Putman, Verges, and Hughes after 4 laps. We'll be right back. Hi there, I'm Tom Natcher, and this is Greg Kramer. We're called the old bastards of racing in many circles. You know, I guess we met back in the late 1980s.
Easy. It had to be at least that far back. Glory day of some racing, too.
Oh, absolutely. Trans Am was a part of the picture, and actually I learned to do pro announcing from this man around the Trans Am Championship. Oh, that is a long time ago.
A very long time ago, but I'll tell you what, you take a look at Trans Am racing in the early 90s in particular, the names that were running at that time. But the other side of the story was World Challenge was really starting to come alive at that point. And the names in that, there were sometimes you'd look at the 2 rosters and go, you know, I'm not sure which one is the most talent. Some amazing stuff from those decades past. And of course, a lot of those drivers also doubling up, running amateur racing in the runoffs. And it was spectacular stuff.
Now, Go Racing TV has got all of that action. Trans Am World Challenge and even some runoff material all coming up over the next season. That's going to be something to watch.
I know, to be able to relive those 2 decades of motorsports from the Sports Car Club of America's Pro Racing Department, Trans Am World Challenge, and then you include the National Amateur Championships, the runoff, the intense battles that unfolded there. It simply doesn't get any better than that, and it lives again right here on GoRacingTV.com.
Because I need to spend more time in front of my computer.
Miller Motosports Park may be officially listed as a desert circuit, but there's mountains around to be sure. These are the Oakers, and that big T stands for Tooele, Utah, the town at its southern end. That is the official home of Miller Motorsports Park, a great little town, but you want to make sure you get out to this track and watch some of the great racing, including what's going on here this weekend, the 8th round of the Dodge Viper Cup. Michael Von Quillick currently running in 7th spot right now and having himself a very competitive run. It's an interesting story for Michael, I think, in the fact that it didn't start with a passion for racing. It started with a passion for Vipers, is how he ended up racing. So we asked him a bit earlier, how did you get involved with your other love affair?
Well, it started with the Viper. When the 06 Coupe came out as a prototype, I took a look at that car and it melted my heart. And I just imagined myself buying one of those cars. I did, and then a friend of mine I bumped into that I didn't know, and he became a friend, told me about Viper days. And I wanted to get back in the track, so I did, and that was in 06, and everything just kind of molded together. And when Dodge announced the Viper Cup series, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a chance I can really get into some real racing. And I did, and it's been the best decision we ever made. We're having a blast. So it's kind of in my DNA. I just love cars and I love racing. So it's a treat, and thanks to Ralph Gilles for really spearheading this and putting this series together. It's a dream come true.
You know, my goal is to make him just go really fast. And he's doing it, he's successful, and he's got a great sense of humor throughout the whole endeavor, and we're working our fannies off. But it's fun. We're having a blast doing it together.
Boy, that's a perfect snapshot of the paddock in the Dodge Viper Cup. They're intense competitors on the track, as we see right here. Look at that move there as Gilles goes underneath Ms. Bogan. But you get out of the cars, peel the helmets off, and everybody is truly a family here, and it's absolutely great. But I'll tell you, Tom, you get those helmets on, and this is what unfolds. Some serious stuff. Look at that attempt with 3 abreast down into 1. We've seen 2 not work.
Whoa! That's the result. Eric Gilles nearly pulled off the hero move of the weekend, but that's what happens in the exit at turn number 1. You turn in early, you're going to run out of road, and Eric Gilles made it spectacular there for a moment. Good bit of heads-up driving by the other 2, Solberger and Connie Bogan. They're still locked in action.
Absolutely. They were very alert when that happened and were able to avoid it and not lose touch with each other and keep this battle around. And look at Connie. Oh, Solberger, a little wide of the apex, and Connie just stoves it down the inside and makes it work. Beautiful pass by Connie. Look at Solberger trying to exit, carry every bit of speed. See if he can make a counter move here up into the attitudes. Not close enough.
Connie Bogan, great bit of driving there, held her line and kept on the throttle and said, how's this going to work out? It became a battle of wills there, as Solberger said, well, Connie, I got nothing for you on this one, but that battle's still going on. Meanwhile, let's go to Charlie Putman in that wreckstuff.com car of Jeff Courtney's. He finds himself in another battle with Verges.
Yeah, Verges has just been relentless, and these two have been in lockstep for a while now. And every time Verges has upped the ante a little bit, as we look back from Charlie sitting in third, every time Verges has upped the ante a little bit, Charlie has responded and been able to make something of it here. But, Tom, I'm starting to see what looks like possible raindrops on that camera.
That was inevitable. We knew it was going to happen, and you can see it there from the back of Charlie Putman's car. It's just a matter of time. When that rain hits the ground, it's going to come heavy and fast. It always does in Utah. You know, weather is always dramatic here, even the rain. Meanwhile, Charlie Putman doing his best to keep that 90 car behind him for now.
Oh, but Verges makes the big look now. Got a great drive out of the turn, and Putman just shutting the door. And Verges realizing that if he stayed there, they were definitely going to touch. Boy, that was some aggressive driving by Verges and an aggressive counter by Putman. Now Verges into the Tuella turn. This time just goes deep, deep, deep. And look at Putman staying around the outside. They are still side by side. And Verges not able to make that stick, but it has turned from Verga into outright rain. It is coming down, Tom.
Everybody in the clubhouse has stopped eating, put down their forks, and is watching some of the best racing. And now Mother Nature comes along and adds an element. This is going to finish up like a barrel of monkeys. Shim's still ahead of Ralph Gilles, Charlie Putman, and Keith Verges in a beach battle. And look at Ted Hughes. We'll be back.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at Go Racing TV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Welcome back to the 8th round of the Dodge Viper Cup at Miller Motorsports Park. That's what it looked like a few moments ago, but the complexion of this race has changed completely as it is now awash in rain here at Miller Motorsports Park. And Putman with Verges still right there. Look at the sheets of water just piling off of Verges' windshield as he's following Putman around. Some of that's being blown sideways by the wind. Some of it's just coming off of Putman's car. This is intense stuff.
That's unbelievable. We've got sunshine, rainbows, pelting rain, all on the same 500 acres. Hey, this is Miller Motorsports Park. You know, the Dodge boys, imagine the aerodynamic engineering this. They did a lot of testing for this particular car. Now in this rain, you can actually start to see it as the water comes sheeting off the back of these cars. It's, you know, one thing, Greg, we've never seen this before.
Well, it's like sitting in a wind tunnel and just watching the aero effect, as you said. And let's keep in mind, folks, they're running on slicks and hot slicks as well. And this is what they're dealing with. You can see Putman is closing in on Ralph Gilles, and Verges is heaping the pressure on. Verges, a big moment. He saved it, but that lost him a couple of car lengths in a big hurry. But Putman in these conditions is closing on Gilles in the battle now for second place. And the interesting thing is, Tom, there's maybe nothing more beautiful than a desert rain, but nothing more confounding either, because as you said, you've got sun, you've got rain, you've got dry, you've got damp, and you've got spins.
And you got Miller. I mean, Miller will bite you in the dry. So all of these things converging to see Jim Stout goes around. For what reason? Well, because his Michelins finally ran out of that heat. This tire, designed particularly for this car in this season, everybody praises it, but it's not going to work when you've got standing water on the track.
Absolutely not. I mean, you need one, you channel the water out. That's what the grooves in a rain tire do as Shim starts his last lap. But it's heat that makes grip, even with the channeling of a grooved rain tire. And when that goes away, you're in trouble. Shim's, this is a huge opportunity for him. If he can keep it on the track for this final lap, Tom, and he's backed off his times, he's being pretty smart about it. If he can do that with Keating struggles, he's going to take a huge leap in terms of solidifying his point lead. But this battle is awesomely second. Gilles and Putman Putman taking a look up the inside. Gilles covers it this time, but Charlie Putman is determined.
Now's the time for both of these guys to be the professionals they are. You know, the conditions are impossible to predict from corner to corner. They just have to have heads up, and hey, what a way to end round number 8 on the last lap.
And this is when you find out who's truly got the feel, who's got that seat of the pants ability to say, I've got grip or I don't have grip, and adjust accordingly. And these two guys doing an absolutely brilliant job. But as I say that, Gilles just a little bit too hot, and that was all pressure from Putman. And that was a smart move by Charlie. Did you see he didn't tuck in tight, thinking Gilles might come on? He stayed with his line to get the exit speed onto this dry bit of track.
I think when Putman saw Gilles' car move like that, he said he was waiting for his to move, just like that, as he lost grip going down the attitudes. Meanwhile, Ryan Schimsk is within 3 corners of getting the job done, consolidating his lead in the championship and making it a double weekend as in terms of wins at this Dodge Viper Cup Owners Invitational number 11.
Well, he came into this weekend tied with Keating, and he runs a little wide. That's hard-packed gravel over there, and he gathers it up. Let's see, did anybody get close enough? No, he's got some room. He just has to get it through this last corner here. Never has release been more diabolical. And he gathers it up, gets it now onto the front straight, and he should be able to drive it down and pick up, I was going to say, his 4th win of the year. Nobody else has more than 2. So Schimsk doing an absolutely superb job. Here's that battle for second, and it was Putman, obviously, with Gilles off. And Putman able to make it work as they come underneath the final checkered flag here of this Miller Motorsports Park doubleheader weekend. So Ryan Schimsk sweeping the weekend. Charlie Putman coming out on top of that great battle for second was Gilles. Verges a relentless 4th place, and Ted Hughes bringing it home with a 5th place finish. Connie Bogan gets her 8th top 10 of the year. Here's the points now. Came in 6 points behind was Keating. Now it's expanded big time, and Ryan Schimsk looking awfully good with 2 rounds to go in this championship. What a great season this young man has put together. And Tom Natchew, of course, was down in Victory Circle and watched Mr. Schimsk getting out. Tom?
Well, Ryan Schimsk, your last word to us just before you commence this thing was, I got a championship to win here, and if I get a chance to lead this thing, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, we had some issues coming into this race, and we had a serious goal in mind, and that was to come here and win both races and put us in a solid lead in the championship, and that's what we did. And I can't thank the team enough. They executed all weekend, had a flawless car all weekend. Michelin tires were fantastic. I got to thank American Racing Technology stepping up to the plate this weekend and funding both of our races. Skins Wrap, Motool, my crew, everything's great. I couldn't be happier.
I've got to ask you, at the end of the race, the rain really started to come down seriously. How did that affect your driving?
You know, the rain really blew in about, I guess about 80% through the race, and it came and went in a flash, and it was instant rain line in 1 lap, and then it dried up. That's desert racing, I guess. So.
Well, guys, there's one word in racing that you can't say enough, and that's respect. You guys had a pitch battle on the track, and you showed each other the respect that 2 veterans deserve.
Absolutely. It was just a pleasure running with Ralph. I'll run with him anytime. That was just a lot of fun.
You know, certainly dynamically speaking, the Dodge Viper ACR-X got its first serious test in the rain today, and all at once, too.
I've never been dumb enough to run in slicks before on the rain, but it wasn't bad. We just had to be a little gingerfoot. It was enough heat, and actually I was happy when he passed me because he was clearing the rain for me a little bit, but it wasn't enough, you know.
Charles Putman, you showed up to your first Viper Cup race, racing the RecStuff.com car for Jeff Courtney. You know, it's got to be satisfying to podium twice in one weekend.
Well, I'll tell you, anytime you come into a new series, but particularly something with a big, powerful car like this Dodge Viper, to be able to get in is just a testament to how inherently easy this car is to drive, you know, how intuitive it is. You know, it's just handles so nicely.
You know, Ralph, it couldn't have happened at a better time. Kuno Whitmer wins in front of all of these Dodge fans at the 11th Invitational, and then to have a battle like that at the end of the day, man, you couldn't have written a better script.
It's a dream weekend, and have all these fans around us. Go Viper!
Oh, some great celebrating going on. And when you do a race like this in front of that kind of pressure with that crowd and in these trying and testing conditions, it makes a podium celebration so much more special. And for this young man atop the podium, that's why when the race ended, he took a moment to do this.
Never really seen Ryan do one of these before. He's always wanted to save the equipment, save the tires, but he comes out of here with a big point lead. and so he feels like he can celebrate a little bit. That puts all kinds of pressure, Greg, on rounds number 9 and 10 at Pahrump, Nevada.
Well, absolutely, and even though he's got that big points lead now over Keating, there's 150 plus points still to be had in those final 2 rounds, so it's not over yet. So this celebration is warranted. Make sure and join us there. Take care, everybody.